Now that we've got the new Tesla Model 3 Highland, which I've just ordered, by the way, and hopefully I'm one of the first to get it, test it, show you what they're like, and then I'll be selling it and getting back to normal life. But anyway, now we've got the new Model 3 Highland, which I think is a really good car, and the Hyundai Ioniq 6, which is also a really, really good car. Which of these two is better? Or which of these two should you buy? Or which of these two should just win this competition? Don't we all love a competition? Well, I personally do, especially when it's two compelling cars, and they're both very, very good. However, only one of them can get the win here. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. Great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. And by the way, just so you know, I have ordered the blue color. I thought it contrasted nicely against like the black. You know, the black now that Tesla has on the trims. It used to be chrome, it's now black. Anyway, what's better in terms of pricing? Well, the only possible fair comparison that I can make here between these two cars is to compare the base model Hyundai Ioniq 6 versus the mid-range model Tesla Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive. And you're probably thinking, this is not fair. Surely you can't compare the base model Ioniq 6. Well, it's the only way we can do this, because even the base model Ioniq 6 is more expensive than the mid-spec Tesla Model 3 Highland long range. It's on average around about 5% more expensive. So in Australia, the Ioniq 6 costs $2,000 more in its base model specification. So this is the Ioniq 6 Dynamic. That's the model we're comparing it. Dynamic against Tesla Model 3 long range. Like I said, if we were to compare any of the other Ioniq 6 models, it just wouldn't be a fair comparison because it's a lot more expensive. When you're looking at, say, the mid-spec Hyundai Ioniq 6, it's actually around $12,000 more expensive than the Tesla Model 3 Highland. And it just wouldn't be a fair comparison in terms of price. Like I said, even the base model Ioniq 6, $2,000 more in Australia, about the same price in many locations for the long-range Tesla Model 3 versus the base model Hyundai Ioniq 6 Dynamic. So clearly Tesla wins on price. The reason being, in many places, the long-range Tesla is cheaper than the cheapest version of the Dynamic. So you've got to chalk that up. First one goes to Tesla. Okay, what about size and practicality? Both cars are very similar in terms of overall dimensions. You're probably thinking, hang on a minute, the Ioniq 6 looks very long. You'd be right, it is. It's about 4 or 5 inches longer than the Tesla Model 3. However, it's about the same width and it's lower to the ground. So you're getting less interior space in terms of the roof being lower, but the car's longer. Interior dimensions, though, do actually favor the Tesla here. The reason being the boot size of the Tesla is much bigger. The boot size, because of that, very low down rear boot on the Ioniq 6, it's actually only 400 litre boot space, whereas the Tesla has 591 litres of boot space. So around 33% bigger boot for the Tesla. So that's a bit of a win there, I think, for Tesla. I'm a very practically minded person. They've both got lift backs. I think that Tesla wins very easily in terms of interior space. Plus, it's got a bit more headroom, which is something you probably want. However, there's one area here that the Ioniq 6 does win on. Its drag coefficient. The new Model 3 Highland is the most drag efficient car Tesla produces. It's actually a significant improvement on the previous model. Part of the reason why it gets better range than the previous model. However, the Ioniq 6 has even better efficiencies thanks to that very unusual, elongated, kind of curved shape. So the Ioniq 6 wins on its actual aerodynamics. But in terms of efficiency of the vehicles, it appears as though the Tesla Model 3 is more efficient. The long-range Tesla uses around 13.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, whereas the Ioniq 6 uses around 14. So Tesla just slightly wins on efficiency. Now, we don't know on real-world tests. Real-world tests could provide us with different numbers, but those are the numbers, those are the official numbers we have for both of them. Now, what about power? Well, this is a bit of an unfair comparison here, so I'm not going to say too much about this. The base model Ioniq 6 has a single motor. So it has about 165 kilowatt and 370 newton meters of torque. It's obviously got a lot less power than the all-wheel drive Tesla Model 3, which has two motors, probably around about 500 horsepower, so around 370 kilowatt and 600 plus newton meters, a lot more power, nearly twice as much power. In fact, I believe it actually does have twice as much power as the Ioniq 6. Therefore, it's much faster. 4.4 seconds, 0 to 62 miles an hour for the Tesla Model 3. The Ioniq 6 is closer to being around about the 6.5, 7 second mark. It's still fast enough. You certainly don't need the performance of the Tesla, but it is a lot faster car. A bit more like almost like a hot hatch performance, actually, the Model 3. Now, when we come to the interior, this is a different ball game between these two cars. This really comes down to your preference. Do you prefer minimalism, like extreme minimalism, because that's what the new Tesla has? Or do you prefer the kind of retro, luxurious, kind of cool styling of the Ioniq 6? I think they both look really nice on the interior. But overall, I think most people would probably say the Ioniq 6 interior looks nicer. Personally, it's not my taste. I prefer the Tesla. But I have to give the win to the Ioniq 6. I just think most people would prefer that styling. Plus, they'd prefer having the heads-up display. Heads-up display, the digital screen right in front of the driver. I don't think this is a big deal, but a lot of people do. So I've got to go off what most people are saying. Most people want that screen right in front of them. And you've got to admit, the interior of the Ioniq 6, it's the best Hyundai interior of any car, in my opinion, that Hyundai has ever made. Or as you guys in America call it, Hyundai, right? You call it Hyundai? Sorry, we call it Hyundai here in Australia. So I'm just going to stick with my pronunciation. If you're wondering why I've been calling it that, that's because we call it Hyundai in Australia. So my apologies for that. Now, what about actual infotainment? Well, it's a close one here because the Ioniq 6 does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Tesla doesn't, but Tesla has ways that you can mirror that. You can use it. Tesla has their own infotainment system. You can actually watch movies and some things you can't do in the Ioniq 6. Plus, it has a bigger screen. It's got a 15.4 inch screen, very, very bright, new big screen. This is a bit of a wash here. I think Tesla probably has more options, more ability to customize the screen, do things on the screen. Then the Ioniq 6 has the CarPlay, and I like CarPlay. I use CarPlay. It's great. And it has Android Auto. So there's pros and cons to both of them. The other thing that Tesla has is it's got that digital screen in the back of the car. For the kids can watch movies, kids can watch Netflix, kids can do whatever they want, change their aircon settings, whatever. So that's a benefit. So both of them are good, I think, here. I find it hard to pick between the two when it comes to software. I don't know how good the Ioniq 6 is with its safety functions, but the last Hyundai that I drove, it was beeping at me like crazy, and I couldn't work out why. It was something to do with the safety features. I couldn't work out how to turn it off. I only rented that car for 2 days. So I don't want to say too much because that's 2-day rental. But the beeping, I didn't get that in Teslas. I haven't received that crazy beeping telling me I was going. Then in the Hyundai, what I did is I tried to let the car steer for itself. It wanted to steer for itself, and it tried steering me off the road. So that can happen in Teslas as well. It can happen in both models of car, but that's just my personal experience with these safety systems. A lot of modern safety systems, journalists hype the hell out of them, and then you actually use them and you think, this is not very nice. I'm not enjoying this. But anyway, that's my anecdotal experience with that. Now, what about wheels, tires? Well, I personally don't see having bigger rims as being an advantage, but people do. So I've got to go what you guys are saying. The Tesla has 19-inch rims. The Hyundai has 18-inch rims. So obviously that's a slight win to the Tesla, but not really a big deal. What about the acoustic glass? All right, acoustic glass is important because in an EV, when it's quiet, you hear freaking everything, right? But you don't if you have acoustic glass and good sound deadening. That's one thing Tesla's worked on. They actually benchmarked the Ioniq 6 and they've gone, you know what, we want to make it as quiet, silent as possible. So you can hear the amazing sound system in Tesla cars. They're amazing. Hyundai has pretty good sound systems as well. In fact, Tesla has made a big point of emphasis to improve the sound system and to improve the NVH levels. NVH levels are massive, massive improvement apparently for the new Tesla. They're also pretty good in the Hyundai. Both cars have acoustic laminated windscreens. Both of them have acoustic laminated side door glass. But I believe that it's only the Tesla here that has the acoustic glass at the rear. So that is just one slight advantage. Not really a big deal though. They both have LED tail lights. They both have LED front lights as well. Basically a wash on that. They both have full regen braking apparently. Now to give you some specs here, the Tesla Model 3 Highlander, it has the 15.4 inch screen. Of course, the Ioniq 6 has the two 12.3 inch screens. Speakers. Okay, Ioniq 6 has 8 speakers. It's a Bose premium sound system. The Tesla Model 3 Highland long range has 17 speakers, 2 subwoofers, and I believe 2 amplifiers. So I think you're going to find that system will be slightly better than the Ioniq 6s. They both have adjustable ambient lighting. They both have a 60-40 split fold rear seat. They both have keyless entry and start. Now, there's one area here though that we need to focus on next, and that is vehicle to load. Now, vehicle to load, what does that mean? Well, what that means is you can use the power from the battery in the car to power something else. Can the Tesla Model 3 do that? No, it is not actually specified to do that. The Hyundai can do that. It does have vehicle to load, so V2L. That is one win here for the Hyundai. So I think that's one thing worth considering if that's something you need to do, if you need to power other devices when you're out wherever you are. And what about the seats? Both of them have nice seats. I think both cars have, the Tesla has new seats now, improvement in the seats. However, there's one thing Tesla has added to the new Model 3 Highland. All models get this. That is heated and ventilated seating. That is one advantage of the Ioniq 6, which doesn't have ventilated seating. It just has heated seating. So one slight win there for Tesla. Now, of course, you can get ventilated front seats in the Ioniq 6 if you go up to the model above. But like I said, that's $12,000 more. So that'd be quite a bit of money to pay for heated seats. But if you want to know what else you get in that $12,000 more model, you also get 20-inch alloy wheels. You get premium relaxation seats. You get a full width glass sunroof, ventilated front seats, heated steering wheel, and heated rear seats. Now, the Tesla does get heated rear seats standard. So like I said, heated seats in the rear and ventilated in the front in the Tesla are things you don't get in the Hyundai. So it's starting to look to me as though the Tesla is winning this competition, even though the Hyundai has won a couple of areas. But let's have a look at some really important areas here. What about charging speed? The new Tesla Model 3 chargers at a charging speed of the same as the previous model, 250 kilowatt charging. And now that Hyundais also can charge at Tesla superchargers, it's not really an advantage anymore, to be honest, to have the Tesla supercharger network because everyone can use it. That said, it's true that the rates are cheaper if you own a Tesla. Different prices for everyone else. That makes sense in my opinion because Tesla owners have basically funded the supercharger network. So a bit of an improvement, a bit of a win there for Tesla in terms of getting cheaper pricing at the supercharger network. But the Hyundai does have faster charging. It can charge up to 350 kilowatt charging speed, which is very, very good. Now, of course, peak charge rates are a different thing. You're never going to get a 350 kilowatt constant charge. You're never going to get a constant 250 kilowatt charge. And to be honest, in the real world, the charging speed is not that different. It's not a 33% difference as you would think it is. Not 33, but it's not a 100 kilowatt charging speed difference as it would appear to be. In the real world, they're closer than that, probably a 10% advantage, but it's still a win in terms of actual charging speed for the Ioniq 6. However, there's one other area that I think we need to probably talk about. That's the range. Range, in my opinion, is still the number one most important factor when it comes to an electric car for me personally. I'd sometimes do really long drives. Not that long ago, I drove from Brisbane to Melbourne. That was about an 18-hour drive, long way. I drove nearly 2,000 kilometers in one go. I didn't stop at all. Didn't sleep. It was a long, long drive. So I ended up being about a 21-hour journey because I did have some stops for eating and peeing and all that kind of thing. So range, it still does matter. The range of the Model 3 is 629 kilometers on the WLTP standard. On the same exact standard, the Ioniq 6 actually gets nearly that range. In fact, it gets 614 kilometers of range. It's not far off. It's only about, 15 kilometers or less range. But there is a reason for this, and the reason for that is the extra motor. Because the Tesla is an all-wheel drive, it obviously is using more power. And that's true in all EVs. If you get the all-wheel drive version, they always have less range than the rear-wheel drive version, unless it's a different battery pack, and that changes the equation. Now, if you want to get exactly the same Ioniq 6, but you want to get the dual motor version, obviously you pay a lot more money, but your range goes down to 519 kilometers. So it is a bit of a win here, I think, to be fair for the Tesla. Not only does it get slightly more range, only 15 kilometers more range, but also you're doing that with two motors. So you're being able to do that with all-wheel drive, meaning if it's wet, it's really, really wet. If it's icy, if the roads are snowing, whatever, depending on, I mean, that doesn't happen very often, but it can happen. And you're going to get more traction, of course, in the Tesla. So a slight win there on range for the Tesla. But of course, if you were to compare the more expensive versions, that's different. If you were to compare the all-wheel drive for all-wheel drive, the Tesla gets far more range. In fact, it's 110 kilometers more range for the Tesla in terms of range for both all-wheel drive models. Big difference there. Now, what about warranty? Some people think this is a very important purchasing decision. My dad is definitely one of them. Didn't say that. Anyway, Ioniq 6, it has a 5-year unlimited kilometer warranty and an 8-year 160,000 kilometer high voltage battery warranty. Now those warranties, the 8-year warranty, 160,000 kilometers, that's standard across the industry. Almost every manufacturer has an 8-year 160,000 kilometer battery warranty. Very normal. The difference here is the 5-year unlimited kilometer warranty, which Tesla doesn't have. The Tesla comes with a 4-year 80,000 kilometer warranty on the vehicle itself. But the Tesla does have a slight advantage when it comes to the battery pack. It's 8 years and 192,000 kilometers for the battery. So you're getting 32,000 kilometers better warranty for your battery in your Tesla. And I believe they do guarantee 70% minimum capacity as well. I think that could be something for Hyundai that they do as well. However, but the Hyundai warranty generally on the car overall is longer. It's 1 year longer. So that's an improvement. But there is a caveat here which is worth considering. You have to get your Ioniq 6 serviced every 24 months or 30,000 kilometers, whichever comes first. Otherwise, your warranty is cancelled. Now, those services cost $560 per service. So you're going to pay more money for your servicing. Obviously, Tesla, you don't have to service it to maintain a warranty. Tesla will still give you a warranty even if you don't service the car. Most of the time, that's fine, it works. But that's what Tesla officially say. However, like I said, you want that better warranty from Hyundai, you do have to pay the extra $560 for every 30,000 kilometers of driving to have it serviced. I'm not exactly sure what Hyundai do during those services, but that's the rule. Now, out of the 10 main parameters that I've looked at in this video, I think it's fair to say Tesla basically pretty much wins about 8 out of 10 of them, and is still slightly cheaper car as well. Now, a lot of people are going to prefer the look of the Ioniq 6. Some people love it, some hate it. So it doesn't seem like there's a lot of in the middle. Ioniq 6, you love it or you hate it. Tesla, it's a bit more of a vanilla kind of look. Personally, I quite like that vanilla look. I'm not too worried about that. But a lot of people, they want to stand out. They want to be seen. And I think the Ioniq 6 is the car that you want to be seen in if you want to be seen. It's a very, very unusual looking car. When I first saw one in person, I was actually very impressed by how good they look. I think in the photos, they look weird. In person, I think they look much, much better than I expected. So the style of the Ioniq 6, polarizing, but a lot of people absolutely love it. And if you do, that's the car for you. But in terms of the overall better package, the better value for money, I think it's a very, very obvious and clear win overall for the Tesla Model 3. But maybe I got some of this wrong in your opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching.